thank you for joining us. We're joined here by Flagler men's head soccer coach Chris Kranjc. Second season here at Flagler. Really kind of a whole new team here in your second season. We've got about, I want to say, 6 games left in the regular season, 3 here at home, and we're really getting in the heart of the Peach Belt Conference matchups as we head towards the end of the season. But really, I mean, you look at the Peach Belt Conference and we'll have the end of the season tournament coming up, but before we really get into that, what are you looking for your team and how you want them to finish?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. And first off, really proud to be here. I'm really excited. Going into the second season, being at Flagler, it's an honor and a privilege to be here, and just excited about what's to come for our team and the program as we move forward. But for us right now, we want to finish strong. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Regardless of what has happened, and we look at that as we're learning. This is, like you said, we got 16 new players. It takes time. It's a process to build it, and we know that everybody looks at results, but at the end of the day, it's about the process and getting our kids into the right system, into the right style that we want to play. But now that we're kind of past that mark, we really want to finish strong, and we want to make a run and see if we can get into the conference tournament one, but also potentially host that first round game. And we got I think it's 5 games left, so we can really make a run at that. But it comes down to our mentality, how we execute, being able to capitalize on opportunities, and try to not give up more than 2 goals a game. So that's and that's just coming from a little bit of inexperience. That's coming from times we're just not on the same page, and again, it goes back down to that we got 16 new guys, and it just takes time to build those relationships, and at times we make some mistakes, and I just tell the guys, let's go again. It's no big deal. Just let's keep playing. So, but I think for me, it's can we finish strong, and can we build on the previous game and continue to improve and hopefully put us in a situation where we're in a conference tournament.
So about midway through that answer, one word you said, process. It's interesting because women's basketball has really come alive as a program here the last couple of years. Erica Lane Montgomery is now with the University of Florida, but her team made the Peach Belt Conference tournament for the first time in program history 2 years ago. And I remember something that Coach Wiles was telling her, as a team, you'll lose big, then you'll lose close, then you'll win close. And you look at the schedule that men's soccer's had this year, there's been 1 game that has been decided by more than 2 goals, and that was, of course, a victory over Trinity Baptist. That was 8-1 was the final there. But everything else, there's been nothing more than, there's been 4 games decided by 1 goal or less, including a draw, and then 6 games decided by 2 goals. And you look at some of the halves where you're out shooting the other team, just can't necessarily find the back of the net. But what is looking at that? How do you take that into the future?
Well, yeah, and Coach Wiles is right, and and I've looked at my past teams, and it was a process. I mean, it took 10 years to win a national championship at Hastings, and we had a couple Final Fours in there, and we had some down years in there as well. But it was a process, and it took 10 years. And then now the program since then is national runner-up, another national championship, and currently they're undefeated. So it's a process, and once you get that process in place, then it moves forward, and you get the culture in place and things like that. Same thing, where I was before. The first year we lost somewhat big, and then the next year we're in the conference tournament final. Here last year and Coach Wiles is right. If you look at it, we lost big. This year we're losing close. And hopefully, we still want to win. There's still games left, and we can still win those games. So hopefully, we can win some big games here. But so it's a process. It takes time because we have, it's a different style, it's a different culture, it's a different way of doing things. So eventually, it will get there. And I'm proud of our team. I mean, I really am, because we've put ourselves in a position to win games. But it came back down to, when you have a week and a half of preseason, and then the hurricane of 5 days. And then you're just thrown right into games, and they're just coming right, they're firing, here's a game here, and you can't really work with your team in the depth that you want to work with them. Right. And that's what kind of the spring is for. So when you look at last spring and you look at our team this year, it's 2 completely different things. So it's going to take time to build those connections, build that understanding that we want our players to have when they play. But I'm really proud of, you know, the fact that, shoot, right now we're averaging like 15 shots a game. You know, we're winning the ball in good areas. You know, we're sustaining some attacks. It's just we're lacking maybe a little bit of creativity, a little bit being maybe a bit clinical in the penalty area, because the game is ultimately won in the penalty areas, and that's probably where we're just a little bit struggling right now, is in that area, because everything else is, we're competing against all the Sunshine State teams, which is arguably probably the best conference in the country. You know, Palm Beach Atlantic was probably the one game that I would say that we probably didn't perform as well as we could have. But you look at Tampa, we came back from a 2-goal deficit, or a 3-goal deficit. No, 2-goal deficit. No, 3-goal deficit. And we're right there. And just a couple finishes. Nova, we had an opportunity to go 3-0 and we missed it. You know, North Georgia early on. I mean, we had opportunities. We hit the post twice. We had opportunities, and you know, shoot, you look at this weekend with Francis Marion. Same thing at the start of the half. You know, we're right there. We're really close. It's just a couple little things that we have to be better at. But it just takes time. Those things take time. Those connections, the process, the mentality, and it's a young team. You know, I mean, there's times I think we had, at one point we had 6 freshmen on the field. You know, there's 1 senior on the field. You know, so it just takes time with these young players to understand the speed, to understand the physicality of the game, to understand each other. So it just takes time. But I'm really proud of the guys. I mean, they've put in a lot of work. They're still fighting. I mean, a lot of teams that have won 9-1 would give up and just say, okay, it's over. You know, but these guys are still fighting. You know, and I'm really, really proud of that.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about the fact that, you know, the record's not where you want it to be. However, we're still kind of just getting in conference play.
Yeah.
And you look at things and you look at where you want to be seated in the conference tournament, and you could easily wind your way up to, you know, hopefully it'd be amazing to be a 14th host, but nevertheless, you can still find your way into a 6th seed or a 5th seed. But I want to kind of touch on something. You said creativity, which I think is interesting, because I feel like creativity on the field is something that happens when teams really start getting the flow, when they play with each other for a long time, and they know where each other's going to be, and they know their nuances and how they play. And they're, you know, it is a new team, you know, transfers and freshmen and inexperienced together, but that's going to kind of come together at some point. And now that we're 10 games, 11 games into the season, where do you start seeing some of that creativity and from that cohesiveness from the guys?
Again, that takes a lot of time. I mean, when you look at, and I got this in my head right now, is when you look at the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, and Germany won that, you know, and you look at the makeup of that team, it was all players from Bayern Munich, basically. They all play together. So they're playing together for a full year, and then they go to their national team. And then you look at other teams that are, you know, they got players all over the place, and it just, they're not as connected, you know. So, and that's one of the reasons why Germany won that World Cup that year. And so we're not there yet, and it just takes time. And you're right, the creativity, the cohesiveness just takes time. I mean, and we're starting to see a little bit of it. It's starting to kind of come together. The guys are starting to understand it a little bit more. We're starting to create a lot more opportunities, different types of opportunities than we did at the early part of the year. Opportunities that we want, quality chances. You know, I have a metric that I look at. You know, how many quality chances versus non-quality chances do we take? And at the beginning of the year, it was a little bit on the non-quality, so we were shooting from bad areas, and now we're starting to find ourselves in better areas to score goals. So we just have to be a little bit more consistent. You know, and that's the same thing with a young team and a team that hasn't been together. The consistency is just, you know, sometimes it's all over the place. But we're starting to see a little bit of it come together, and it just takes time. And I mean, the creativity part takes time. We got creative players. We got good players. We got some depth. I like our guys. They are committed to they're committed to it. You know, and it's a good group of guys. And I really think that, you know, they built off last year, and they've really kind of seen it, learned from it, and then especially the guys that were here and said, hey, we got to make it better, and we can make it better, and they did. And you know, you look at last year again, I we gave up a lot of goals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can look at Florida Tech. You know, I mean, we'd lose 6-1 to Florida Tech. This year it's 1-0.
Yeah, right.
And it could have easily been 1-0
right.
or 1-1 if we convert on a penalty. You know, or it was 2-0. Sorry, because it was goal with 3 seconds left.
Yeah.
You know, but we, you know, it could have easily been 1-1.
Yeah.
I mean, and that changes the game.
Yeah.
You know, so we have to do, if we can manage the moment a little bit better, we can be a little bit more creative, a little bit more direct in the penalty area and the attacking third. I think we can see those results shift, but we still got 5 games left that we can win, and we're, you know, 6-9-1.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a different. Now we're going into the conference tournament on a winning note and on a good run, but there's no guarantee of that because we still have to play Young Harris, we still have to play Lander, we still got to play Aiken, we still got to play Clay. I mean, we still got to play our conference schedule, and everybody's good. So
right.
it's gonna be tough to get to that point. But I think I really believe this group can do it if they put their mind to it and they come together and they're cohesive and they battle and they fight and they execute. Then anything's possible. But it just takes time. But like I tell the guys, it's not how you start; it's how you finish. And now we're at the finishing stage, so now see where we're at, see how we do.
Speaking of good players, Dan McGuire.
Yeah.
You know, you look at some of his stats here. It leads the team in points with 13.
Yep.
5 assists and 4 goals. Do you see some of the guys feeding off of him? Is there any other players that are emerging as leaders that guys are feeding off of?
You know, it's funny because Dan is a very good player, and he's a good dribbler. He's very direct. He wants to get into the goal or into the penalty area. He wants to get shots. He wants to score goals. He works extremely hard, and I think his work ethic helps feed the other players. But I've been really impressed with like Johan Oslin, who plays on his side. Those two have created a pretty decent connection, and Johan's been fantastic getting up and down the line, getting us good services. We just got to get in on the end of those services sometimes. Sometimes the ball just goes away and goes out for a throw-in when we could have easily scored. You know, I think Paik Koskikin has been really good. And I think, you know, like Enrique, you know, is really, you know, he came in really fit. I looked at him last year, and you know, maybe not as fit, but he really came in fit this year and really did a good job this year. You know, so, but I think, you know, with some of the injuries we have with Linus and Eden and, you know, with Owen and some of those guys that kind of, you know, took some leadership, you know, because Eden is a leader, you know, and, you know, it was unfortunate what happened to him, but, you know, and he's almost back and Linus is almost back, and those are 2 midfielders, you know, so we've had to move some guys around too that probably don't play in their usual spot, but, you know, but I think Paik and Dan and Johan and even Eric, I mean, Joaquin, I mean, they've all done a great job. I mean, they really all, I don't want to put the microscope on one guy specifically because I think they all feed off each other, and they've all done a good job, and they've all been fighting. But Dan really, you know, he's been here. He was here last year, and you know, he scored some goals, but he can change a game pretty quickly because he is pretty shifty, and you know, we can get the ball to him. He can create a lot with his dribble, you know, and so we need more of that from him, and we need, like I said, we need to get players around him more involved in combining and to be able to score more goals. So.
There's another guy I'm very curious about. He's been here as long as you have now, Alex Geyer. He has, I mean, he's very committed to this program.
Yeah.
And I know he's had a big hand in the guys that people are all bringing in.
Yeah.
And very passionate guy. What has he meant to the team and what you guys are trying to accomplish?
Alex, I've known Alex for a long time, probably since 2012. So I've known him for almost 7 years, and you know, when I recruited him to play at Hastings, you know, he was a 4-year starter, and actually Timmy's here too, you know. So Timmy. Was with us.
I believe they're roommates.
Yeah, they're roommates, and they were together for 4 years competing against each other, but they're awesome. I mean, I love having them here, but both of them, in fact, they definitely make me stay on my toes. But you know, even though Timmy's with the women's team, and I'm sure he keeps Ashley on his toes, but and Timmy does a good job of that. But Alex, no, you know, when I recruited him, he was very passionate, you know, about the game, about improving. I mean, one of the things I can remember is that his goal kicks hardly ever reached midfield when he first came, and then he just consistently worked on it, and eventually, like now, his goal kicks, his ability to strike the ball, even as a coach, 4 years after he's graduated, is unreal. So, he was a passionate guy that had a passion for the game, passion for training, passion for everything about it, And then when I brought him over to, and then when I went to Huntsville, I was looking for GA, and the first person I thought about was Alex, because one, he has a goalkeeping background. Two, he's so passionate. He's gonna work. He's such a hard worker, and he's just a down to earth, great guy to be around, and I love him. So I was like, I gotta have Alex with me. And then when we came here, the first person I asked, and I said, Alex, you want to join me in this project?
It's Florida.
And it's Florida, yeah. And he was like, yeah, palm trees,
there's a beach,
palm trees,
10 minutes away,
and he does a good job to let people know that too. And so so when I brought him in, he knew what he was, what it was about. I told him, here's the challenges that we're going to face. Here's the opportunities that we have. Here's the strengths. Here's the kind of that marketing, that SWOT thing. And I said, this is a great opportunity for you, for us. And, I realize you're not going to be with me forever, but let's take this on at the start and see what happens. And he came in full head of steam. He's so passionate about, he's out here for training. He's doing a lot of the behind the scenes work that nobody sees, whether it's, getting the chocolate milks that we need, or making the reservations, or running training, or working on something with the guys, or, he was a big hand in the recruiting class this year, and so he put in a lot of work, a lot of time for it. And it was, with us two, being in one place, him in one place and me in another, we were able to figure out a way to make this work, for this year, and to get the recruiting class that we needed, get the guys training, and he's just meant everything, without him I'd be lost, and I don't know where we would be right now without him. So, he's such a great asset to not only to our team, but for Flagler College and even the community, because of his ability to connect with people is unbelievable, and he is so passionate about the game and about the players and about being successful that it just rubs off on everybody else, and including myself. And he still keeps me on my toes, and even though he disagrees more than agrees, we still have a great relationship, and that's what I want. I don't want somebody to agree with me all the time. I want someone to say, hey, think about it this way, think about it. So he's always disagreeing, always being the devil's advocate, and he's not afraid to do that, which is awesome, and it leads us into some great discussions, and then we come up with something, and come up with something that's a great idea, and it stems from him not going, oh yeah, okay, you're good, rather than, hey, I kind of think about it this way. I didn't think about it that way, So it's been it's a great partnership, and I'm just, I love the kid, and when the chance for him to move on comes, it's going to be a sad day, but I'm also going to be proud because
one of those kind of bittersweet sort of moments.
Yeah, exactly. But he's great, So, but he means a lot to us. So.
Yeah. Well, before he does move on, we're really excited to see what he can contribute.
Yeah.
What you contribute and the players contribute to the rest of this season, and we may have him around next year, next couple years. You never know.
Cross my fingers.
Cross your fingers, absolutely. But we've got a home match coming up this Saturday that we're looking forward to. I believe that's Clayton State.
Yeah, it's Clayton. Yep.
So it'll be good to see how the guys, because there's been about a week off, I think. Actually, you guys don't really have any more Wednesday games.
No, we're done. Except for the
games.
Georgia Southwestern at the end. Yeah.
So, but it's mostly Saturday games at this point, which is kind of nice because it gives you a little more recovery time in between weeks. But we're really excited to see how the rest of the season plays out and what happens for the Peach Belt Conference tournament, because that's still very much up in the air. I mean, the top team has 6 points right now because nobody's really played any Peach Ball games. So it's all of
we can get 15 points. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still. I mean, we can get 9 points. We can get 12 points.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have 12 points and easily be second or third. You know, I mean, it's. I mean, the possibilities are there. Nothing's lost. You know, and that's our goal now. Is now can can we get ourselves there? You know,
Yeah.
what has happened. Hopefully we can learn and understand that, you know, that it is a process, that it takes time, that we didn't expect. You know, I didn't expect to come in here and win, you know, 20 games in a year, you know, first 2 years. We knew that it was going to take time and be a process and you know, a style and how we wanted to play and things like that, and the type of players that we wanted. We knew it was going to take time, and so, you know, and eventually we do need to get some results, you know, and that's going to be the thing, that, you know, eventually a process is a process, but eventually you got to start having some outcomes too. But we understand that, you know, the order of which and the priorities and how things must go, and so we're being patient. You know,
Yeah.
we don't want to rush it. We don't want to do the wrong things. We want to make sure that we're doing the right things, and that we're you know, representing Flagler College at the highest standard possible. And that's, you know, that starts with what we do off the field, and then also on the field, and being good sportsmen and being good, you know, good citizens off the field as well. And so we want to make sure, but we want to go out, we want to battle, we want to fight, we want to play at the highest work rate possible, and but still respect what it is, and respect not only the game but also respect the process.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a big thing that I keep telling guys. You got to respect it, you got to attack it, and you got to live it. You know, and that's, you know, respect the process, attack the process, and live the process. And if we do that, great things are going to come. Then the outcomes will be there. You know, but if we don't do that, then we'll never get the outcomes.
All right, well, thank you for joining us, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys out here at Saints Field this Saturday.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right,
Thanks.
thank
Go
you.
Saints.
Go
Appreciate it.
Saints.
Yeah.